Simon to come and share with us about how they're using video at Panasonic and thinking about how it's really supporting the business of the Panasonic. So I'd really like to invite Simon to share some of your experiences in this as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you. It's really good.
That's quite cerebral. It's probably going to drop by about 75% the cerebral content now, so forgive me, I'll tell you how we use it. Quick show of hands. How many people own a Panasonic product? Ooh, it's not bad. Before I tell you a little bit about what we're going to do, or what I'm going to show you today, just want to tell you a little bit about the brand. The brand is everything really to Panasonic. And a really good example of that is this. You probably can't see, but the top one says Panasonic, the one underneath says Eco. If I'm representing the business, I'm not allowed to be seen in public without these on. And there is a memo that tells you where they have to sit and how far apart they've got to be. Okay? And I'm not joking. From the president down, everybody has to wear these because we're representing the brand. So what I want to do is tell you how we used video. To do that, I'm going to show you the video. And we made a video really just to sell this product. And I think it's worth just mentioning before I tell you how we use it in the way that I came aware of it. As probably many of you, you get many different businesses approaching you to try and sell you something. We came across this product, and I have to say it's one of the few times where it almost seemed a bit of a no-brainer. So we went from zero to working in a very short space of time. So what we do is we create videos for our network, which I'll tell you about in a second, but just to set the scene, I'm going to show you a video that we created on the platform. And we created this video, I think it was actually literally with an iPhone sat in an office, and then we bolt all the things onto it, and it was created very quickly. So what I'll do is I'll let myself tell you about the thing I'm just about to tell you about, which means the rest of my speech is largely pointless. So here we go. So Panasonic Service, we have about 3,000 sites, and they're based across 8 countries, from the UK all the way up to the top end of Scandinavia. And we have one engineering base in Bracknell. Disseminating information across those multiple countries and multiple sites was extremely difficult. We had limited resource, and it also was extremely expensive to try and fly people into one central engineering base. To resolve these problems, we created a distance learning facility based around video training. This means we can train across the network with very little travelling and at much reduced cost. Therefore, we engaged Fusion to create a secure and self-fulfilling platform where engineers can communicate, learn and share best practice across the network. This also gives them the ability to access the platform across a range of devices, either in the customer's home or in fact in the service centre. By doing this, we hope to achieve a reduction in our turnaround time, and that's how quickly we actually fix the customer's product. We also wanted to achieve a better first-time fix. That makes it much less inconvenient to the customer. By doing that, we hope to increase our customer satisfaction. We can track, learn and improve because our entire engineer population is learning from each other. This helps us refine our processes by identifying knowledge gaps and therefore identifying the training needs. And it also creates a better sense of community and enhances loyalty to the brand. The solution has been seen as being extremely innovative. We've had a very good rollout, and so far it's been very well received across the network. As far as I'm aware, we are the only manufacturer using this particular process in the way that we're using it. The people that I've spoken to in the field feel that this is something very unique to Panasonic. So what we'd like to do next is we're going for a UK rollout. We then want to push it into Scandinavia, and then our next stop would be pushing out a full European, full ASC rollout across the whole of Europe. Okay, so that was a video that we used on the platform just to create some knowledge into the business about what we want to do. Really tell you about why we did it. The motivations that we have as a business are, we have very high training costs, and one of the reasons is it's very difficult to train engineers to factory standard. Incredibly hard to get that knowledge to the required level. It takes years and years and years. The best way to explain how the system works, if you have a Panasonic TV and for whatever reason it needs to be looked at, we don't have Panasonic engineers in every single country, in every single location, so we engage people to act on our behalf. And one of the acronyms that should have been explained in the video was ASC, which stands for After Sales Service Centre. And that's where we actually engage people and pay them to look after the warranties. It's a bit like a car dealership. It's extremely expensive to train those people. You're flying them in from all over the place. So as well as high training costs, we do have limited training resources. It takes a long time to train these engineers. And a lot of these guys have very low exposure to our products. One of the reasons being is, with all honesty, they don't actually go wrong that often. So somebody might not see a TV, especially one of the new ones, when it's only just come to the market for a long period of time, so they have very low exposure. Low failure rates, and we also have new repair centres. If we go into a new area, we have to put new people in, it becomes very difficult to get them to the right standard. So video seemed an ideal opportunity really to try and push that knowledge out, because we can't use Bracknell to control the whole of Europe. So what we do is we share all the information across the network. We push it into onto the network from Bracknell, and I'll tell you a little bit about self-fulfillment in a minute, and then we push this out to all the different countries that we actually look after at the minute, which is the 8 across Northern Europe. So this is what it looks like. So this is the actual site itself. What we've done is we've tried to create it as close to the Panasonic site as we can. We called it Insight, and this is pushed out to all our after-sales service centres, of which there's about 3,000 in the area that I look after. So this is the front page that you go on, and it's built into communities. So if you look on there, we have a particular community here, but then we also pick particular featured content that we might want people to look at. The best way to describe this, it's a locked down version of any YouTube-y kind of site. So these are the communities. Now you'll notice these are the main product categories that we sell, but the other really interesting thing is the policies and processes, and I'll show you a screenshot later, because what we actually do is train administration staff on this as well. This is probably the key or the biggest part to this video system for us, is the social aspect. I think I mentioned on the video, it's a self-fulfilling. What we've done with this is we roll it out. We've put the initial videos on it, but then we want it to snowball. So what we do is we give everybody in the network the ability to post their videos online. So if we've got an engineer in the top end of Norway who's found a really good way of fixing a particular board on a particular TV, we need that knowledge out of his head and we need it into the network. So what we do is we give them the ability to upload their own video. Now we don't want videos of more than 3 minutes, we keep them really tight. They're all searchable, so you can type in a TX143 and it will pull up everything on a TX143. But if you look on here, these are the social aspects of it. So you can like it, you can share it, you can comment on it. And what we really want the engineers to do is post a video, and then we want people to comment and discuss that particular video. And it's not necessarily the video that they're then discussing, it moves beyond that. It starts talking about the products, and then we can start pulling all that knowledge back into the business. So it's not just a case of us teaching people out in the field how to do it. If anything, it's exactly the reverse. It's the field teaching everybody else all the best practice. And that's probably the thing that did it for me. We also have the ability to full analytics on it, so we can track and see what people are doing. So if we're putting resource into putting a video together, and it just is not getting looked at for whatever reason, it's just not fulfilling the need, we don't have to go down that particular track. But if we find a particular run of videos that's working really well for us, we can enhance it, we can keep going with it. So the idea of being able to analyse what we're doing is really useful. I touched on this earlier. You've got full record facility within the application. So that's not only making your own videos with webcams. I want engineers to be able to sat at their desk in an ASC platform and just click a button on their application with a webcam, record a video, and then it's in. That's how straightforward it is. But also you can actually record the screen. And this is incredibly useful for us because we've got multiple systems across multiple countries. We use SAP. Anybody that uses SAP, great platform, but it's quite a lot of complicated steps to make sure it's done properly. So we can teach people how to use SAP on this, and some of the initial feedback I got from some of the ASCs was that the engineering videos are great, but the administration platform has been incredibly useful for their administrators, and we've seen some real positives with the way the paperwork is completed because of this particular facility. So what they do is they press a button, it records it, and as you move your mouse around and you click on it, it highlights the areas that you've been pressing and then records it as a video and overlays sound and graphics, which is quite useful. And literally just press a button and get on with it. We've locked it down, and this is the key for us, and I'm going to show you a video in a second, and it will demonstrate why we've locked it down. This is the login screen. You can't get into this system unless you have an account with Panasonic, you're an authorized service center, and you have it's something like a 7 or 8 digit code to get into it. We don't want the public going on this site. The reason why we don't want the public going on the site is this is what they're going to see. This is the back of a TV. These are A boards, power boards. This guy who's doing this is one of our engineers in Bracknell. We can't put this on YouTube, because if we put this on YouTube, we're then liable for the people that take the back off and start touching things while it's still plugged in, still on, and look, you know, somebody would do this with it plugged in. We can't allow this onto YouTube. People do put things on YouTube. We can't. As a responsible manufacturer, we have to keep away from that environment. We have a YouTube channel where we do how-to videos, which are for public consumption. This is absolutely not one of those kind of videos we would ever want anywhere near YouTube. I think pretty obvious why. So this is a standard engineering video. This is just a video we pulled off the system. You'll notice it's reasonably high quality in terms of res and lighting. We're quite lucky in the fact these engineers are very technical, but it is literally just a webcam. The guy's mic'd up, and he's doing his job, and he's just recording it as he did it. You know, this particular team, that's in our basement in our engineering facility in Bracknell, and he just walks through what an engineer would want to see, and then the guy in the field, he can type in the TX142, this pops up, how to change the A-frame. The thing is, the guy who's actually fixing this customer's TV might be the first time he's ever seen it. So the good thing is you can watch this, you can understand from Alf, actually, in this particular instance, the best way of going through the process, how much voltage you should be putting through it, what to see from there, and make sure that the customer journey is kept a little bit tighter. Now, the other thing is, you can do that in the field, you can do it in the customer's house, you can do it in the ASC, you can do it on a phone, you can do it on a pad, or you can do it on a base unit back in the engineering facility. So, that's what we did. Let me tell you why we did it, what we actually wanted to achieve. The turnaround time for us is the biggest KPI we have. So as a manufacturer, turnaround time is it's my sales KPI, really. Turnaround time is the time that your TV or your fridge freezer goes faulty to the time it's not faulty again. And that's how we manage our network. So your TV goes wrong, you ring us, that's when the clock starts ticking. Now, just to throw some KPIs at you, we work on white goods, we have a 2-day turnaround time. We try and fix everything within 2 days. It's pretty hard with white goods, that. It means we have to have huge amounts of parts in the facilities. And on TVs, we try and do most of it in 5 days. The reason being is that customers have told us that I can't do without a fridge freezer, but I've generally got another TV, so I can be a little bit more relaxed about my TV going north. But turnaround time is the biggest challenge for us. First time fix is key. There's nothing more irritating than somebody coming out to fix your TV and they leave and it's not working. Even worse if it's a fridge freezer. So first time fix. We didn't do this to save money. We did it to make the customer journey better. But anything that will save us money is going to be a bonus. And the savings there are clearly we're not flying everybody around Europe, putting them in hotels and taking them out their operations. And in some instances, our ASCs are in the Arctic Circle, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to get people in and out without dogs and sleds anyway. And our engineer time, we do pay our networks in time. Now, we pay them per job, but it's also good if they can get through more jobs in a day because the customers then are sped up a little bit more. So we don't want people waiting. So the quicker an engineer can turn around a TV, the better it is for everybody. And ultimately, it's down to brand loyalty. I said when I came on stage, brand is absolutely everything to Panasonic. And if we can turn these things around as quickly as possible, then people will then go back and buy another Panasonic TV, because at the end of the day, our TVs, our products are probably 25 to 30% above the average when it comes to costs. So people want that back in terms of after sales. The next step is a fairly ambitious rollout. We've already started it. We've already punched it out to the UK and Ireland, going really well. We are just about to punch it out to Scandinavia. I think we're going live with Turkey at roughly the same kind of time, and we're using those as test beds, mainly just to test the gateways from all the different ISPs. And that gives us some real challenges in terms of user base, because we have to do language changes, but ultimately the platform itself can remain the same because we can just dub over the top. That video there, for instance, we did it in such a way that Alf actually isn't stood there talking to the camera that much, so that means we can dub that video into Turkish incredibly easily. So that works really well for us. We're also doing a lot more in terms of features. We're going to put lots of our new products on. So when a new product comes out, we get it 6 months before it goes to market. We have a cell down in Bracknell. It's all locked off, and all the new product comes in there. We take it apart. We play with it. We're going to video it, and then the minute it goes live and the embargo's off, we can have that video live for engineers. So even if a customer walks in with a TV they bought the day before that was released the day before that, in theory, the engineer can actually take it apart and fix it without learning on the job. So that's it in a nutshell. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Timing's all right.
Timing was great, yeah. Hands shot up all over the place just then. So if they can shoot up again. Yes, take your question first.
I just wondered, you were saying that...
Sorry, I think I'm hogging the floor here. You were saying that the guys can upload their own videos. Do you do some sort of audit or quality control in that to make sure they're uploading obviously appropriate videos?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. Yeah, what we do is, as part of the process, there's a check-in facility held by the engineers in Bracknell. So what they've done is they put the initial videos on, and they'll become more of a checking and quality control system later on. So if it's appalling, if the videos doesn't hit the spot, they'll go back to the engineer and say, actually, great idea in theory, but absolutely shocking execution. Can you do it again? But yeah, it really is a quality control, because they are represented in the brand, even if it's just internally. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great. There's another. Oh, there's Rachel down the front here. Hi.
Just wondered, you said about the engineers using them. You said about the engineers being able to do just in time, so actually in the customer's house on a device.
Yeah.
Is that reliant on them owning their own device, or are they allocated an iPad or iPhone or
Okay.
other brand?
We don't supply them, but the ASCs generally, nearly all the engineers in the field have at least a laptop and generally a pad of some kind. The reason being is they like to be able to pull down what we call the TI sheets. So we put TI sheets out of all our products. So basically, if you are an ASC on our network, it's unlikely you will be allowed on our network unless you've got a full electronic backup when you're out in the field. So we don't personally supply them, but that's because I don't really have to. They're already there. Okay.
That's great. Microphone just behind you there.
Yes, thanks. I was interested to understand a little bit more about when you were talking around SAP.
Yep.
So yeah, and the business I'm in, we went through a SAP migration. We're nearly at the end now, but obviously there's been lots of pitfalls and etc. Yeah. And you touched on it, but I was just quite intrigued to understand. I believe was it some kind of cloning that you did from the SAP system to recreate? Is that correct, or did I not?
It's a bit simpler than that, actually.
Oh, right.
What we do is the system itself runs a video screenshot of everything that you're doing.
Okay.
So what we do is we get our experts who know the SAP system, we get them to run through a process, we click the button and it records everything that's done on screen. And what it then does is it overlays graphics. So if you press a mouse button, you wouldn't normally see this, but when you run the video back, it'll do a green circle pop or something like that.
Yeah.
And they talk over the top of it. So what we do is we create SAP training videos.
Right.
All right, so the thing is, I was very subtle the way I said it, but you know, SAP can be fairly complicated.
Yes.
And some of the guys that are out in the field using this process on behalf of Panasonic, some of these administrators, they only work a few days a week. So that was, to be fair, when we first looked at this, that was never something we thought would be so important. And it's turned out to be actually a massive win for us.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
There's a question up at the back there. So, one just at the back. Okay.
There's a lady here.
Talk about the user-generated content that you have. You want to encourage people to use that, and obviously the social features in there as well.
Yeah.
So how do you celebrate the success? And how do you encourage people to do it and stop them being put off if their first time was rubbish or shocking, as you said, and get sent back? So two questions in one. So how do you encourage people who have had a bad experience, and then how do you celebrate the success stories as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. The bad ones, we will treat it more as a guidance. We certainly won't highlight that. The good ones, what we do is we have an ASC newsletter that goes out every month to all of our network. And what we do is we highlight certain, or we link to really key videos. But what we really try and do is link to social, where the social content has really picked up and there's lots of communication. We already have an internal engineer forum, and that works really well for us. So eventually we anticipate shutting that down and routing into Fusion instead. So I think celebrating success absolutely will push people in the right way. In terms of slightly less positive videos, quietly shelve. Guide, teach, and then hopefully put them back on. What we really hope, this self-fulfilling piece is absolutely key. If we let them get on with it, it'll just drive itself. And we end up just being a watching brief, probably more than anything else. This lady keeps putting her hand.
Whereabouts? Okay, yeah, in the corner.
I was interested to see in your videos that in contrast to John's video, you don't really stage the person. The focus of your video is really the technical aspect of the product for the engineers.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you have any thoughts about the merits of having a person talking to the person at the other end of the line, or if for a population that is engineers, really what matters is the product, how to get on with the repair. Or
Okay. I could probably say 95% it's all about the product. And there is another reason for that, and I mentioned briefly about language. To be fair, it's a cost-saving exercise for us. Because we've got to cover multiple languages, if we shoot it without a person, it's a lot easier to dub. So there was a very straightforward reason for that. But the product is key. However, we do use it where we do face-to-camera shots. And in fact, we use it in other parts of Panasonic. So HR use it, for instance. So there is a facility for us to face-to-camera. So we do use it, just not as much.
Before we take another one, I'm interested, John, from your perspective on that, was when do you think is a good time for us to have people on the video? You know, what kind of subjects, what kind of areas that you were talking about earlier?
I think in our experience, I mean, if you're repairing something, if you are a technician, then clearly what you need to focus on is the technician's hands and where they are underneath. But if you're talking behavioural stuff like sales or even leadership, then you like to see, you need to engage a little bit more in that personality, because it is all human interaction. So I guess there's no right or wrong way, it's just what seems to fit. What is the important message? Is it important to see the belief and passion in the person and the gestures and unconscious gestures that we use and words and phrases that we use, or is it important to see the technology and exactly what's happening in repairing technology?
It's interesting, we're talking about video in leadership training. We did a study a couple of years ago and found that actually people who are supervisors at kind of team leader level love to see videos of their own managers, senior managers internally. They wanted to capture good practice internally. But the senior managers, they like video as well, but they wanted to see the gurus outside. So, you know, that role of talking heads is actually quite powerful in the leadership side of things. So it's interesting. We have more questions, yes.
It's coming back to this question of the engineers, and perhaps comparing also with the Volvo experience. Do you incentivize those engineers to create videos out in the field? Do you pay them some kind of sum of money for creating the videos? Clearly, in the Volvo side, you're getting some hesitancy from the British sales force or other people to participate. Perhaps if there's a payment, and often in sales, payment tends to be a bit of a motivator. If you are paying in Panasonic, maybe that's a technique to improve the volume. I'd be interested to know what both of your speakers have to say about
that. We wouldn't go down the pay route, not least because of the complexity and admin that would give us. But more importantly, we want to create the environment of shared information and shared knowledge, and everybody needs to be proud enough to be a part of that. That's what our ultimate goal is, that they feel rewarded by having their video uploaded and other peer group rating their videos. That's what we hope to get, and that's what we believe. That's what's worked in the States. We need to do some more work on it. I can't see us ever I can see us and our field team going in and putting their arm up the back, but I don't think they'll be paid, if I'm honest. They might get a reward. They might get video of the week or a little badge. I did it for Volvo.
From our perspective, we don't really need to. We did look at it to start with. We went out and we picked a few of our more senior ASCs and we used them as a test bed. And what we found is that these guys see it as a real positive. So we don't really need to reward. To be honest, I probably would if it gave me massive impact, but we don't need to. Just to take that point one stage further, though, we do reward the engineers in Bracknell. So what I do is I've built this into their bonus KPIs to make sure that the system is run effectively, so the quality checking process, making sure that it's doing the job that we want it to do. So in their personal objectives on their bonus, this is a key part of it, which means they can earn some considerable more money over the top of their basics if this is run. And in fact, the manager that looks after that team, the senior manager, he's also very closely linked on his bonus as well. But I've not felt a need to pay out in the field. They really like it. Just get on with it.
I think what's striking about what both of you are saying as well is the fact that you are making it simple for your subject matter experts, whether you're engineers or sales experts, to be able to connect with and share their knowledge. As well. So I think you've given us some quite good tips on how to make that easier for them, including adding into their bonuses. I like that one. Any other questions we've got? Oh, can we have in the middle there?
To Simon, given the fact that you've got engineers all over the country in remote places, how are you going to deal with the remote places that don't have any connectivity?
We haven't actually got any of those at the minute. We wouldn't let them on the network.
That's interesting, because I've got a Panasonic TV and I don't get any signal.
Sorry, are you sure it's Panasonic? Sorry, I may be misunderstood. Are you talking about the engineers themselves?
No, I'm talking about the wireless connectivity.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. The brief that we put out was, if they're going to go out, we already know the product that they're going out to before they go to the TV. So in those instances, we expect them to do pre-download or pre-watch the videos. We do back this up. It's not just the video on its own. We do have engineer capacity so they can ring in to Bracknell. So we use Bracknell as a support function. So in those cases, absolutely, we do have that situation. And most of our ASCs are aware we do actually have coverage maps in the network, because it's not just that would be a problem on the video, it's also the TI sheets. So if they go out to a customer and they haven't got good coverage and they can't download the TI sheet, that's a completely wasted journey. So we insist that they pre-download before they go, the TI sheet. So yeah, very good question, and we try and catch those before we go out. So it is a Panasonic TV, I'll admit that.
I think we've got time for one more quick question. It was from the front here. Thank you.
It was basically about how do you assess that the knowledge or the skill has been acquired after the video?
So it's talking about assessment of the skill being required, particularly interesting given the KPIs that you're measuring at the moment.
Yeah, it's a really good question. What we do is we track every single one of our warranty claims. And we know exactly what our ASCs are claiming for. We know how long it took them. We know how much we paid them for it. And we can cross-reference against any training material. So if we do a really good training video that then brings down the cost to repair a TX142 by 25%, we know it's working. But it's principally, again, it's more of a customer care factor. So turnaround time, first time fix. We don't want you without your fridge freezer. I keep saying TVs, but it's everything else, all the white goods and stuff like that as well. More so with laundry and fridge freezers. So yeah, we can track every single warranty claim.
That's great. I think we have to close it now in terms of questions, but I know that you're both going to be around for more questions and people can catch up with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn, feel free. I'm going to wander down to the Fusion site now. And,
yeah. I think what I would leave you with is the fact that I've just been looking at what's setting some of the top learning companies apart, and both of you are really exhibiting some of these characteristics, the alignment of what you're doing with business, the fact that you're using some technologies to help you be much more responsive to business change as well, and there's some real characteristics here to really set you aside. So I would encourage you to put what you've heard into practice, even if it's only a little bit of it, because it will help you take a step forward.